Hi, in this video we will try and add this image and we will try and add this particular list that we have over here. So for this we need to know about image tag and we need to know about li tag, ui tag as well as ol tag. So we will talk about all of this. Let's just quickly see that how these tags look like and how do we use it, and then we will go ahead, write the code and try and achieve this particular behavior. So talking about images, so we have two ways to add an image. So first of all, we use this img tag that we have. Here we have the attribute src. So basically src means that okay, if I have to display the image, where is my image? So this src attribute looks for the image and wheresoever my image is. So now my image could either be in my local computer, in my code, or it could be there on the internet, a URL from the internet. So depending upon where is it, we will give the link accordingly. Okay, and then we have an alt tag. So this is known as alt tag, or you can think of this as alt attribute. So what happens is that, let's say many times you will see is that if your internet is slow and the image is not loading, there is some text that comes over. So there are two agenda of adding this alt tag. First of all, let's say if your image is not loading, just by seeing the alt tag you pretty much know that what was the purpose of image. And second thing, it is also used, or it is very useful in case of SEO. There also what will happen is that if you write the alt tag, it tells the bots or it tells the search engines that okay, this is the use case of the image. So make sure you write the alt tag as well. Okay, and this is going to be nothing but a text. So now this is the first way in which, let's say the image is in your code or in your local computer. The second way is this. Again we have the same img tag, we have the src attribute, and here rather than adding a location from my computer, I have added the URL from the internet, and this URL I got from that particular backtracking page only. We will see how it works. And then we have the alt image. So this is how we are going to add the image. Let's just go ahead, write this code and try and add the image that we have over here. So here we have this particular image. So first thing what we will do is that we will just go ahead and add an image that is there in my computer. So what I have done is that I have copy pasted one of the images into the HTML folder. So first of all, I have copied in this HTML folder only, but the right practice is that you make an image folder and copy the images over there. I'll do that as well. The reason I'm doing this in different way is that so that you're able to see that how the path changes, because you don't have to just write the name of the image. Okay, basically the src should be able to fetch the image from here, so you have to write the proper path. Let's just see that. So now let's say what I'll do, I'll use the img tag. Okay, if you see, as soon as I clicked on img, as soon as I hit enter on img, I got the src as well as alt. So in this case we have html icon.png. So I'll do dot slash. So whenever I do dot slash, which means I am coming out of this HTML file. Okay, if I simply do simply don't use dot html, it will expect that whatsoever I'm looking forward to, it is in the same file. So whenever you guys have to add anything here or going ahead which is just in the same level as that particular file, you will go ahead and do first dot slash, and then you will have html icon.png, and here let's say the alt text is html icon. This icon will look different from the icon that we have over here. We will add that as well. So let's just go ahead and enter. So now if you see, you get this HTML icon over here. Now let's say what I do here is that rather than adding the image in my code, what I do is that I add a new folder. Okay, and I name it web images. Okay, and I put this icon inside this. Okay, now let's say what I do is that I again refresh this. So now if you see, what is happening is that you are getting this alt text, but you're not getting the icon or you're not getting the image. Why? Because it is looking for HTML icon at this particular level, but there is no HTML icon at this level. Now it is inside web pages. So first what I'll have to do is that I'll have to go inside web pages. So for that I'll do web pages. Okay, and inside this web pages we have the HTML icon. So I'll write HTML icon. Okay, so now let's say I hit enter. So I get this particular icon. So basically you have to give the path relative, so you can give exact, either the either the full path. So let's see if I click on this and I do copy path and copy relative path. So let's see if I do copy path and I enter over here. Okay, so let's see how this path looks like. So this path looks like the complete path, starting from the users, then Mamta, then documents. So it is the absolute path, like in this computer, where does this image actually exist? Okay, if you see, this is how it is going. Now let's say if I copy the relative path. So the path that we entered earlier was the relative path. Let's just go ahead and do copy relative path. And now if you see, we have to add this. Okay, now if you see, this is the relative path that it is giving me. Relative means that relative to index.html, where does this exist? And absolute means that give me the complete path where this particular image exists in my computer. Okay, so now if I do this, I'll get this accordingly. So now in case you're wondering what I should use relative or I should use absolute path. So you should definitely use relative path. Why? Because in this case what will happen is that let's say you go ahead and deploy this in your server or anywhere else in different machine. In that case, then the absolute path will not work, but relative path will work absolutely fine. So now if you see, what is happening here is that this particular thing is a different image. So now if I have to add this image, what I'll do, I'll right click, open image in new tab. So this is giving me the link of the image. So now let's say I go ahead and I add the image. Okay, so this is the complete link. Okay, now here what do we have? Alt. So here alt has to be backtracking image. That makes more sense, right? Okay, now let's just go ahead and see how it works. So now if you see, you got the exact image, but there is one thing, that this particular image is here in center. In here it is in center. So definitely this thing right now I'm doing using HTML, but whenever you have to do it in future when we learn CSS, this thing has to be done using CSS itself. For now I'll just add the center tag, and this tag again is deprecated and is not supposed to be used. So now if you see, this has come to the center. So this is how we are going to add the img or tag, or we are going to add the images. So I have add the images. So now generally what will happen is that whenever you are adding images, you don't you keep very less images only if it is really urgent in your code. Else generally maybe you will upload it somewhere, you will upload it on S3. Just like this is giving me a link. If you upload your image on S3, you will get an URL, and you can add that particular URL in your code. So that gives you a lot of flexibility for changing the image depending upon what is your requirement. Okay, so depending upon the requirement, you can either use the image in your code, which you should do only if it is like really necessary, because that is also adding to the size of your code. Else you can just upload it on S3 or somewhere else and you can use that URL. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is we have to add the list. So again, let's just quickly go ahead, see the syntax of list or see the tag that we are going to use, and then we will write the code around it. Okay, so now here we have two kinds of list, ordered list and unordered list. What happens in ordered list is that you will see the list that we saw just now was an ordered list in which you will be written 1, 2, 3, 4, or there will be Roman number 1, or there will be ABCD. Whereas in case of unordered list, there won't be any sort of numbering. In that case, you'll just either have dots or you will have let's say square. There isn't any numbering as such. That is called unordered list. We will see both of that. So now for having ordered list, first we have to use the OL tag. This OL tag means that I am using the ordered list. So now you have opening tag here, closing tag here, and inside the opening and closing tag you have all the items. So each and every item that you want to be there inside the list has to come under the li tag. Okay, so we have opening li tag, then we have the content that we want to write, and then we have closing li tag. Similarly here we have opening li tag, content, closing li tag. Okay, now in case of unordered list, this particular part remains exact same. There is no change out there. the only tag that changes is UL. So it is very simple to remember. Since ordered list, the short form is OL, unordered list, the short form is UL. Let's just go ahead and write the code. We will see both the lists. Okay, so let's start with the ordered list. Okay, so now if you see, this is over here ordered list. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's add 5 ordered list and 5 unordered list. Okay, so let's start with OL. This stands for ordered list, and inside this, let's say I have the first LI. Okay, let me copy paste from here. I'll put it inside. Let's say we have another LI. We have another LI. Let's add one more. Okay. Let's see how it looks. So now if you see, you are having 4 different list items. Okay, and this is ordered list, that is why it is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the same thing, let's say if I do using the UL, I'll simply copy paste. Okay, let's see how does it look. So except O, we will have U. So we will have UL, and here again we will have UL. Everything inside remains the same. Let's hit refresh. So if you see what is happening, you are getting a disk. There is no numbering as such. You are getting a disk. Okay. So now what happens is that in this particular case, you are getting a circle over here. So this is actually called circle, and you can change it to disk. You can change it to square. We will see that. Similarly here we can change it to ABCD, we can change it to Roman, we can change it to ABCD in capital, Roman capital. Let's see how we can do that. Again, here we are doing it using HTML, but it is highly recommended that you do using CSS only. So let's say here for that we will add type. Okay, so we'll have type equal to, let's say if I want to do it in small letters ABCD, so we will do type equal to small letter A. So if you see, we are getting ABCD in small letters. Let's say if I add capital A, I get ABCD in capital. Let's say I want to add Roman. So again in Roman we have the option I and capital I. If you see, you are getting in Roman, and if I do capital I, you will get everything in uppercase. You get it in uppercase, and by default we have numbering, which is like even if you write 1, you get the same behavior. Okay, and this is the default behavior, you need not do it. Now another thing that is there is that if you add this type over here, not in OL but to, let's say, a particular list. Okay, in this case if you put it in OL, it will be added to all the lists out there, but let's say if I add over here, okay, so only this will be having A and rest will have 2, 3, 4, but again this does not make much sense, so make sure you go ahead and write it in the OL tag only. Similarly, if I have to change the styling, here we can have circle, we can have disk, and we can have square. So let's say I make it disk. So I will again do the same thing, type equal to disk. Okay. Okay, so by default it is disk, my bad, I said circle. Okay, now let's do it for circle. Okay, so if you see what was happening, what was the difference between circle and disk? In case of circle, what will happen is that you will just have a circle and there is no filling inside, and then we have square. Okay, in case of square, we will have a square that is out here. Okay, so in this case what happens again, that you can put type over here also, but that is not recommended. In this case there is another thing, that you have an attribute start. Okay, so let's say if you start 4, if you do start equal to 4, you will see it starts from 4 and goes till 5, 6, 7. Again, it depends upon the use case. If you have any such use case, then you can use it, else you cannot use it. And another such thing that we have is reverse. Okay, so if I do, let's say, reversed equal to true, then everything will be reversed. Things will come in the opposite direction. So if you see, it's coming out to be 4, 3, 2, 1. If we see that this content remains the same, but the numbering is in the descending order, the content is exactly same. Okay, so again, these are some of the things you can use the disk styling better to do using CSS. So that's it about the image and list that we have. Make sure you guys try this on your own, and then next we will go ahead and see about forms, we will see about links, how to add links, and we will see tables in the upcoming session. Okay.